Welcome to Dave's new podcast. I've just been watching Melvyn Bragg's documentary about William Tyndale, and it's called The Most Dangerous Man in Tudor England. And it's the account of how William Tyndale translated the Bible, or the New Testament actually, the New Testament and I think the first 5 books of the Old Testament, from the original, with the New Testament that was Greek, with the Old Testament that was Hebrew, from those languages into English. And at the time he did it, it was illegal to translate the Bible into English. Those in power wanted to keep hold of the message, if you like, of the Bible, and the way they did that was having it translated in Latin, which most people couldn't read. It was originally put out on BBC television, but it's still out there on YouTube if you type in The Most Dangerous Man in Tudor England. Tyndale's vision was, since he was young actually, was to get the Bible to people in their own native tongue so that they could read it for themselves and discuss God and learn about God and learn about what was in the Bible for themselves. But the famous quote about him is that he said, "If God spare my life, I will cause a boy that drives the plough to know more of the scriptures." And I have to say, that inspires me today. Tyndale worked at a time when people couldn't access the Bible for themselves in this country. We live in an age when the Bible probably is in less and less houses, and even if it is in the house, it might not get read, or a lot of it might not get read, because it is a difficult book. It's not an easy read. I think as well, just as Tyndale lived in a time when the ploughboy actually that he wanted to get the message to couldn't read. He was illiterate. So Tyndale, I guess, imagined that people would read it to anyone who couldn't read. So we live in an age where, it's great that a lot of people read, the Harry Potter books and Da Vinci Code and things like that, and the Twilight books and things like that have encouraged more reading, I guess. But people don't necessarily read as much as they did. And some people perhaps don't read very much at all. A lot of men don't read very much at all. So it's the same challenge. How can we get the Bible to people in their language today, in the language that they understand? And while I know that, there's some people who absolutely love the King James Bible and the New International Version of the Bible and other versions of the Bible. Probably if you've been a Christian a while, you've got your own favourite version. I grew up with the Good News Bible. But I can remember that when it was bought for me by my parents, I've still got it, it was a leather-bound, thick Good News Bible. I loved to hold it and to sort of feel that weight in my hands. But I also felt locked out of it. I didn't know how to get into it. And as the years have gone by, more and more of it has been unlocked for me by people inspired by the Spirit of God. And perhaps on certain occasions by the Spirit of God himself, when my eyes have just been opened while I've been reading it. But that's my vision too. How can we get the Bible to people in their own language so they can understand it for themselves, so that they can connect with it for themselves and realise that they find themselves in that good book and that it's relevant and powerful and meaningful and life-changing for them today. Thanks very much for listening. That was Dave's podcast.